Let's pick up on this piece of news now when we get your reaction on the second part of the state capture inquiry report that placed former Transnet officials Brian Molefe, Anoj Singh and Siyabonga Gama at the center of what was described as a racketeering enterprise at Transnet. We're joined by Sonja Carstens, spokesperson for the United National Transport Union. Sonja, thank you very much for your patience with us. So your initial thought is quite a voluminous read, but your initial thought in terms of what has come out of this second part. Any surprises that particularly stood out for you?
No, we were prepared for what was going to be made public. The Board of Transnet held several meetings with us to prepare us and to explain the extent of the state capture in Transnet. But just listening to the figures and listening to the findings and reading the findings of the Sonja Commission is riveting. It is absolutely shocking to realize how our state-owned enterprise has been looted throughout almost a decade.
Because of the kind of work that you do as a union, maybe let's talk about the human story and the impact that this has had, if any, on your members.
It had it has had, and it's still having a tremendous impact. Due to the state capture period, there's a very, very serious lack of maintenance and modernization throughout Transnet. We can see it in our harbours where we are consistently struggling with delays and obviously affecting imports and exports. And we can see it on our railway lines. We now have to get in third parties, privatization of the railway lines, because Transnet is no longer able to adhere to the demand and to function properly. And this is all due to state capture. Transnet was the most financial viable state-owned enterprise we had, and that's why it was the primary site for the state capture.
The report also found that the Public Finance Management Act was broken on numerous occasions. Did this come as a surprise, and what impact has it had?
No, it did not come as a surprise, but the fact of the matter is that Transnet is struggling even today to recover from the losses it suffered during the state capture. There's no money left for basic maintenance, and that's why equipment is breaking all the time, and hence the reason for the serious delays. And this is affecting the jobs and the prospects of our members, because obviously if your company is struggling, then there's no growth. And this is going to have an impact on Transnet employees in years to come. So it's not going to be something that will be addressed overnight. It's a very, very serious concern, and we don't see a seriousness on the side of government to rectify this.
You speak of the seriousness on the part of government to rectify this. Let's speak of the then Public Enterprises Minister, Malusi Gigaba, his name featuring also in the report. He since released a tweet on the 1st of February saying 3 years and 1 billion rand later, DCJ Raymond Zondo has found no evidence to warrant a recommendation that I be charged with corruption. Instead of clearing me, he asked that I be investigated some more in the hope that this will kill me politically. What does this tell you?
Well, obviously he's trying to pass the buck and not come to the party. But the fact of the matter is, Judge Zondo was not a court of law, and it was not a trial. And to ensure that we see justice be done, we need enough evidence to present the National Prosecuting Authority with a strong case so that there can be a trial. And I think that was what Judge Zondo was alerting to in saying that more investigations are needed. But if you look at the whole the essence, I mean, we're talking about 41.2 billion just paid by Transnet to state to various companies. 60 billion only for the manufacturing of Chinese Chinese manufacturers. That's what they benefited. Sorry, the 42 billion was simply to Gupta linked companies. The whole impact of this, the extent of the state capture, is not something that you can merely determine with evidence that was laid in front of the Zondo Commission. Hence, the judge pointed out more investigation is needed. What's really concerning is the fact that we still haven't seen any prosecutions, and with specific reference to Brian Molefe. To date, there's been numerous judgments, numerous rulings against him, and still no prosecution. So that's very concerning. And the irony is that we actually asked Siyabonga Gama to investigate the allegations of state capture when the initial Gupta leaks came out. And he committed himself to do that. And even though it's 3 years onwards, we still haven't seen any prosecutions. So that's very concerning to us, and hence we are referring to the seriousness on the side of government.
That something like this could have gone on for as long as it did. I guess maybe just looking at the future, how then would you recommend, or according to your perception, what do you see needs to be done in order to avoid something like this, where we are talking about the same thing in 5 years' time?
Well, firstly, we should stop making political appointments on our various boards at state-owned enterprises. We need to run them as businesses, as proper, functioning, financially viable businesses without interference from politicians. Just another example that we have is Minister Lynn Brown, whose name was also mentioned. She, for instance, forced Transnet to borrow 222 million to SA Express. And I think less than a week after the money was borrowed to SA Express was bankrupt. So to date, Transnet has not received a single cent back from that loan. And that's why we're saying get rid of the politicians. They've got no place in our state-owned enterprises. The state-owned enterprises should be run for the better of the economy, to create a better life for all, not to enhance individuals.
Sonja Carstens speaks for the United National Transport Union. Thank you very much for availing yourself this afternoon.